This is probably one of the most common succulent household plants, and this is aloe vera. There are so many different types of aloes out there, but I think aloe vera is probably the most common. This plant is actually native to Saudi Arabia and Yemen, but it has spread all across the world, largely because of its use. So if you break off a piece of the leaf, you'll have this kind of aloe vera gel, and I have this one that has just broken off. And some people actually consume it. Some people actually put it on their skin if you have like a rash or a sunburn. And this plant has been used for millennia, and it is a very good medicinal plant to actually have around your house, particularly if you have light skin and you burn very readily in the sun. Now this one I actually got as a little offset from a friend who works at a garden center. This had been an offset of his, and you could see a little offset kind of growing here on this one, and has grown in kind of this cool snake-like fashion. This is partially because I have not been giving it a tremendous amount of light, and it was kind of snaking a little bit more towards the window. This plant could definitely deal in bright light, full sun conditions, but this is the product of growing this plant in a little bit more of a northeast facing window. However, one of the things that I've actually noticed about it is that it is a little bit darker green in color than if it would be if I were growing it in full sun conditions. And I've actually seen aloe vera growing outdoors in Eastern Africa, and it is actually like quite yellow and maybe a little bit chlorotic and really being bombarded by all that kind of intense sunlight. So I might actually have a little bit of a greener variety just because I'm growing it in a little less intense light. That being said, because this plant is so succulent and because you could see this kind of little water storage unit of these leaves here, this plant doesn't need a tremendous amount of watering. I probably water this plant maybe once every couple weeks or once a month in the growing season, and then in the non-growing season during the winter months, maybe once a month to once every month and a half. So I'm not watering Mr. Aloe all that well. However, if I had it in my southwest facing window, I would definitely be watering it a lot more just because of the intensity of the light there. As far as fertilizing goes, I would say a cacti or a succulent fertilizer, maybe like a 2-4-7 every month or every other month would be totally fine for the aloe. And as far as pests go, I've never had any problems. I've heard that people have mealybug problems, which is totally normal because I think mealybugs love to have kind of juicy stems and leaves. But in this case, I haven't had any problem, and I've been growing this plant for quite some time. I can't even remember, but I've had it for at least like 3 years, maybe 4 years, because I really only got it as a little baby offset, and has put on a lot of new growth and is now giving me a little offset as well, which is actually probably the best way to propagate these plants is through the division of the little offsets at the base of the plant. So if you have this, or if you haven't had this yet, I'd say it's a great plant to have, especially if you're into more medicinal varieties.